Welcome to Alien Whispers. If you enjoy the story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Now, let's dive into the story. Rin knelt in the dirt of the Shadow Tree Village Square, wrists bound tight behind a splintered wooden post. Blood trickled from a cut on his forehead, stinging his eyes. His body ached from the trial, a brutal fight he'd lost spectacularly. The twin suns blazed overhead, baking the cobblestone ground. Around him, blue-skinned aliens of a shadow tree clan-jeered, their golden eyes gleaming with contempt. "Weak offworlder," one shouted, hurling a clump of mud that splattered across Ren's torn scientist uniform. Another tossed a rock, grazing his cheek. "You're nothing," a voice sneered. The crowd roared, their laughter sharp as knives. Ren gritted his teeth, fighting the urge to slump. He was a scientist, not a warrior, sent to study this planet's ecosystem. Now he was their punching bag. His pride burned, but he wouldn't break. Not yet. LRA stood at the crowd's edge, her arms crossed, her sacred dagger glinting at her hip. She'd tracked him through the forest, outsmarted his traps, and dragged him here. Her blue skin shimmered under the suns, and her golden eyes locked on him, a mix of pride for her victory and something softer, pity, maybe. Rin couldn't tell. Her gaze made his chest tighten, though he didn't know why. The clan leader stepped forward, a towering figure with tattoos snaking up his arms. His voice boomed over the crowd. "This offworlder dared trespass on our sacred lands. He failed our trial of strength. He's unworthy." The crowd cheered, their voices a wave of scorn. "By our law, he'll be sacrificed to the jungle's mercy." Ren's stomach twisted. Sacrificed? He'd come to learn, not to die. He tugged at the ropes, feeling the rough fibers bite into his wrists. The post was old, its edges jagged. A flicker of hope sparked. Maybe he could use that. Any last words? "Offworlder," the leader sneered, his eyes cold. Ren lifted his head, voice hoarse but steady. "I'm not your enemy. I'm a scientist. Let me prove it." The crowd laughed, louder this time. "Prove it in the jungle," one shouted. More mud flew, coating his face. Ren spat out the grit, his jaw clenched. He caught LRA's gaze again. Her lips parted, like she wanted to speak, but she stayed silent. The leader raised a hand for quiet. "Enough. At dusk, we'll drag him to the forest's heart. The beast will judge him." Ren's heart pounded. Dusk was hours away. He needed a plan now. He twisted his wrists, feeling the ropes scrape against the post's sharp edge. It was slow, painful work, but the fibers started to fray. If he could just... A guttural roar cut through the air, freezing the crowd. The ground shook. LRA's hand flew to her dagger, her eyes darting to the horizon. "Wild hunters!" she shouted. Panic erupted. The villagers screamed, scattering like leaves in a storm. Ren's pulse raced. Wild hunters, exiled outcasts, bloodthirsty and armed with scavenged tech. He'd seen their tracks in the forest. Now, they were here. The first hunters charged into the square, their bone-and-metal armor clanking. Skull masks hid their faces, but their eyes burned with rage. Crude blades and clubs swung wildly, cutting down anyone too slow to run. A villager fell, blood pooling on the stones. Ren worked faster, sawing at the ropes. The post's edge bit into his skin, but he ignored the pain. Freedom was close. He glanced at LRA, who was already moving, her dagger a silver blur as she slashed a hunter's arm. The beast roared, swinging a spike club. LRA dodged, her movements fluid, like a dancer in a deadly waltz. The ropes snapped. Ren stumbled forward, wrists raw but free. He scanned the chaos. Villagers fled, hunters attacked, and flames licked at the wooden homes. A fallen spear lay nearby, its tip stained red. Ren grabbed it, the weight unfamiliar but solid in his hands. He wasn't a fighter, but he wouldn't die tied up. A hunter charged him, club raised high. Ren ducked, the weapon whistling past his head. He thrust the spear into the hunter's side, feeling it sink deep. The creature howled, collapsing in a heap. Ren yanked the spear free, his hands shaking. Adrenaline surged, drowning out his fear. "LRA," he shouted, spotting her surrounded by 2 hunters. She parried one's blade, but took a hit to the shoulder, staggering. Rin sprinted toward her, ignoring the pain in his legs. He tackled the second hunter, driving his spear into its back. The creature fell, and LRA finished the other with a quick slash. She turned to him, panting, blood trickling from her shoulder. "Why'd you help me? You're not the one trying to kill me," Rin said, managing a weak grin. LRA's eyes softened for a split second, but her voice was sharp. "Move! More are coming." The square was a battlefield. Hunters poured in, their war cries chilling. Villagers fought back, but they were losing ground. The clan leader rallied warriors near the great hall, his spear flashing. Rin and LRA ducked behind a overturned cart, catching their breath. "We can't stay here," Rin said. "My ship's not far. If I get to the communication system, I can call for help." LRA's eyes narrowed. "You think your people will save us?" "They're my only shot," Rin said. "Help me, and maybe we save your village too." She hesitated, then nodded. "Fine, but don't make me regret this." A hunter spotted them, charging with a jagged blade. Rin and LRA moved as one. Rin tripped the attacker with his spear, and LRA's dagger found its throat. The hunter collapsed, and they ran, dodging through the chaos. Smoke stung Rin's eyes, and screams filled the air. They reached the square's edge, but a massive hunter blocked their path, wielding a scavenged energy rifle, tech from Rin's ship. Its blue glow lit up the dusk. "Going somewhere," the hunter growled, aiming at Rin. Rin froze, gripping his spear. LRA stepped in front of him, dagger raised. "Stay back," she hissed. The hunter laughed, finger tightening on the trigger. Rin's mind raced. The rifle's power cell was exposed. Overheating could disable it. "LRA, keep him talking," he whispered. She shot him a glance, but nodded. "You're a coward, hiding behind stolen weapons," she taunted. The hunter snarled. "I'll get you both." Rin crept to the side, grabbing a burning stick from a nearby fire. He hurled it at the hunter's rifle, aiming for the power cell. The stick struck, sparks flying. The rifle sputtered, and the hunter cursed, fumbling with it. "Now!" Payne shouted. LRA lunged, her dagger slicing the hunter's arm. Rin followed, driving his spear into the creature's chest. It fell, the rifle clattering to the ground. LRA grabbed Rin's arm, pulling him toward the forest. "Nice trick," she said, her voice grudgingly impressed. "Science isn't useless," Rin replied, catching his breath. They plunged into the trees, the village's flames fading behind them. The forest was dark, its copper-barked trees looming like ghosts. Rin's body screamed for rest, but he kept moving. LRA's presence beside him was a strange comfort, her strength a lifeline. As they ran, questions burned in Rin's mind. Why had LRA captured him? Would she stick with him, or turn on him once the danger passed? He glanced at her, her face set with determination, her dagger still clutched tight. She'd fought beside him, but trust was a long way off. For now, they were allies, bound by survival. Rin tightened his grip on the spear, his resolve hardening. He was down, beaten, mocked, but he wasn't out. Something inside him stirred, a spark of defiance that refused to die. The jungle might claim him yet, but he'd fight with every breath. Rin's boots pounded the forest floor, branches snapping underfoot as he and LRA sprinted through the alien jungle. The twin suns had set, leaving only the faint glow of bioluminescent fungi to light their path. Behind them, the shadow tree village burned, its flames a distant orange haze. Wild Hunter's roars echoed, closer than Rin liked. His lungs burned, and his bruised body screamed for rest, but stopping meant death. "Keep up," LRA hissed, her blue skin barely visible in the dark. She moved like a shadow, dodging roots and vines with ease. Her sacred dagger gleamed at her hip, stained with blood from the village fight. Rin clutched his stolen spear, its weight a constant reminder he was no warrior. A branch snagged his tattered uniform, ripping it further. He stumbled, catching himself on a tree. "Where are we going?" he gasped. "Somewhere safe," LRA snapped, glancing back. Her golden eyes scanned the forest, sharp and alert. Unless you want to be hunter bait. Rin gritted his teeth and pushed forward. He didn't trust her. She'd captured him, after all, but she was his best shot at survival. The forest was a maze of danger, and LRA knew it better than he did. They ran until the roars faded, replaced by the hum of alien insects. LRA slowed, pointing to a rocky outcrop ahead. There, she said. A narrow crevice split the stone, barely wide enough for one person. It'll hide us. Rin hesitated, his breath ragged. You sure it's safe? Safer than out here, LRA said, already slipping inside. Rin followed, squeezing through the tight gap. The air inside was cool, smelling of damp earth and minerals. The crevice widened into a small chamber, its walls studded with glowing fungi that cast a soft blue light. LRA crouched near the entrance, dagger in hand, listening for pursuit. Rin sank to the floor, wincing as his bruises throbbed. His shoulder bled from a hunter's club, and LRA's arm was gashed, blood trickling down her blue skin. Your arm's a mess, Rin said, pointing. That'll get infected. LRA glanced at it, shrugging. I've had worse. Let me help, Rin said, digging into his pack. He pulled out a handful of leaves he'd foraged during his time in the forest. These have antiseptic properties. Stops infection. LRA raised an eyebrow, curious despite herself. You know our plants? Studied them after my ship crashed, Rin said. He crushed the leaves into a paste with a rock, the sharp, minty scent filling the air. Hold still. LRA tensed as he knelt beside her, but she let him work. Rin applied the paste to her wound, his fingers gentle but steady. The gash was deep, but the paste stopped the bleeding, easing her pain. She relaxed slightly, her eyes locked on his. Not bad, she said, her voice softer. For an offworlder. Payton smiled faintly. Science isn't just for labs. Their eyes met, the air between them charged. LRA's gaze flickered, like she was seeing him for the first time. Rin's chest tightened, but he focused on the task, wrapping her arm with a strip of cloth from his uniform. We need a plan, he said, breaking the silence. My ship's a few days away. It's got a communication system, a beacon. I can call my people for help. LRA's eyes narrowed. And bring more offworlders to our land. They'll help your village, Rin said. The wild hunters are using tech for my ship. If we don't stop them, they'll keep attacking. LRA leaned back, thinking, You're asking me to trust you. After you trespassed. I'm asking you to survive, Rin said. We both want the hunters gone. Team up, and we might make it. She studied him, her dagger still in hand. Fine, she said at last. But one wrong move, and this blade find your throat. Deal, Rin said, relief washing over him. It wasn't trust, but it was a start. They checked the crevice for exits, finding none. It was a good hideout, cramped but secure. Rin gathered dry twigs from the entrance, building a small fire to warm the chilly air. The flames crackled, casting shadows on the walls. LRA sat across from him, sharpening her dagger with a stone, its metallic scrape echoing in the quiet. We're safe for now, she said. But the hunters will track us come dawn. Then we move at first light, Rin said. Stick to the shadows, avoid their patrols. LRA nodded, her eyes on the fire. You fought well back there. Didn't expect that. Didn't have a choice, Rin said, rubbing his bruised hands. I'm not here to die. She smirked, a spark of respect in her gaze. Maybe you're not as weak as you look. Rin chuckled, the tension easing. High praise. The fire's warmth spread, and they ate what little they had. Roots from Rin's pack, tough but filling. The crevice felt smaller, the air softer. Rin glanced at LRA, her blue skin glowing in the firelight. She was fierce, unyielding, but there was something else, a weight she carried, hidden behind her sharp edges. Why do you fight so hard for your clan? Rin asked, his voice low. LRA's hand paused on her dagger. She stared into the flames. It's my duty. My family's been hunters for generations. This dagger, she touched its hilt, carries their honor. I can't fail them. Rin nodded, understanding. I left Earth to learn, to find answers for my people. Guess we're both carrying something. LRA's eyes met his, softer now. Your world, what's it like? Big, Rin said, leaning back. Cities that never sleep, oceans that go forever. I grew up staring at the stars, wanting to explore them. LRA tilted her head, intrigued. You left all that to crash here? Rin laughed. Not the plan, but yeah. She smiled. A real smile, small but warm. You're strange, Rin. Their words flowed, stories weaving a bridge between them. LRA spoke of her clan's bond with the forest, how every tree held a story. Rin told her about Earth's chaos, its beauty, his dream to uncover the universe's secrets. Each tale chipped away at the wall between them. The fire burned low, and the night grew cold. LRA shivered, her breath visible. Rin noticed and offered his torn jacket. Here, keep warm. She took it, their fingers brushing. The touch lingered, a spark passing through them. LRA draped the jacket over her shoulders, her eyes locked on his. The crevice seemed to shrink, the world narrowing to just them. Thanks, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Rin's heart raced. Anytime. They sat closer now, the fire's glow painting their faces. LRA leaned in, her shoulder against his. You're not what I expected, she said. Neither are you, Rin replied, his voice thick. Their eyes met, and time slowed. LRA's breath hitched, her blue skin flushing faintly. Slowly, she leaned closer, and their lips met, a soft, fleeting kiss, like a flame sparking in the dark. It was brief, but electric, leaving them both breathless. LRA pulled back, her eyes wide. We should sleep, she said, her voice unsteady. Rin nodded, his chest tight. Yeah. They lay down near the fire, the stone floor hard but warmed by the flames. LRA curled up close, her head on his chest, seeking warmth. Rin wrapped an arm around her, their breaths sinking in the quiet. The fungi's glow dimmed, cloaking them in shadow. Rin's mind swirled. Could he earn her trust? Would this spark between them grow, or burn out in the danger ahead? He didn't know, but for the first time since crashing, he felt a flicker of hope. As sleep took them, the forest outside waited, its dangers lurking. But inside the crevice, Run and LRA were allies, bound by necessity and something more. Dawn would bring new challenges, but for now, they rested, their fates entwined. Rin and LR moved fast through the alien forest, the twin suns barely piercing the thick canopy of copperbark trees. Glowing fungi lit their path, casting eerie shadows. The air was heavy with the scent of sap and earth, and alien insects buzzed in the distance. Rin's boots slipped on mossy roots, his body still sore from the village fight. He gripped his stolen spear, eyes darting for threats. LRA led the way, her blue skin blending with the shadows, her sacred dagger ready. The wild hunters were out there, and every step felt like a gamble. Stay close, LRA whispered, her voice sharp. The forest doesn't forgive mistakes. Rin nodded, his breath short. How far to my ship? 2 days, if we're lucky, she said, ducking under a thorny vine. Keep quiet. The forest was alive with danger, rustling leaves, distant growls. Rin's heart raced, but LRA's confidence kept him grounded. She knew this place, its tricks and traps. He didn't trust her fully. She captured him, after all, but their alliance was his only shot at reaching the ship's beacon to call for help. They pushed through dense undergrowth, the terrain growing rougher. Roots snaked across the ground, and sharp vines tugged at Rin's tattered uniform. He cursed under his breath, freeing himself. LRA glanced back, her golden eyes glinting with amusement. City boy, she teased, learn to move lighter. Says the forest ninja, Rin shot back, managing a grin. Her lips twitched, but she stayed focused, scanning ahead. The banter eased the tension, but only for a moment. A low growl froze them in place. LRA's hand flew to her dagger, her body tensing. Shadow beast, she hissed. Don't move. From the bushes emerged a massive predator, its black scales glinting like oil. 6 red eyes glowed, and its claws tore the earth. Its jagged teeth snapped, saliva dripping. Rin's stomach dropped. The thing was a killing machine. Back up slowly, LRA whispered, raising her dagger. Rin's mind raced. The beast's eyes were reflective, light-sensitive. He'd seen it before, studying this planet's fauna. "I've got an idea," he said, grabbing a reflective shard from his pack. "Distract it." LRA banged her dagger on a rock, the sharp clang echoing. The shadow beast roared, charging her. Rin angled the shard, catching sunlight to beam a blinding flash into its eyes. The beast shrieked, thrashing wildly, disoriented. "Now!" Pain shouts it. LRA leaped, her dagger plunging into a gap between the beast's scales. It roared, collapsing in a heap. She yanked her blade free, panting, blood splattering her arm. Rin rushed to her, his heart pounding. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded, catching her breath. "That was smart. Where'd you learn that?" "Studied your wildlife," Rin said, wiping sweat from his brow. "Light messes with their eyes." LRA's eyes softened, a spark of respect flickering. "Not just a scientist, huh?" Payne shocked. "I'm learning." Their moment was cut short by distant shouts, wild hunters. LRA grabbed Ren's arm, pulling him toward a thick patch of bushes. "Patrol. Hide." They dove into the thorny undergrowth, thorns scratching their skin. Ren's breath caught as heavy footsteps approached. 6 hunters passed, their bone and metal armor clanking, skull masks gleaming. One paused, sniffing the air, his crude blade glinting. Rin froze, his hand gripping LRA's. Her pulse raced under his fingers, but her eyes were steady, locked on the hunter. The moment stretched endless. Finally, the hunter grunted and moved on. Rin exhaled, his body shaking. "Too close," LRA whispered, her voice barely audible. Rin nodded, still holding her hand. "We're not dead yet." She squeezed his hand briefly, then pulled away. "Let's move." They crawled out, brushing off thorns. The forest seemed darker now, the sun's dipping low. Rin's legs ached, but LRA's pace didn't falter. She led them through a narrow ravine, the walls closing in. Water trickled somewhere, a faint echo. "You're holding up," LRA said, glancing back. "Didn't expect that." "Necessity's a good teacher," Rin replied, his voice dry. She smirked. "Keep learning, offworlder." Night fell, and they found a small clearing to camp. LRA built a fire, its flames dancing against the dark. Rin gathered dry sticks, his hands raw from the day's trek. They sat close, sharing roots from Rin's pack. The air was cool, and the stars peeked through the canopy, bright and endless. Rin rubbed his hands, warming them. "Your clan. How do you survive out here?" LRA stared into the fire, her dagger across her lap. "We're part of the forest. Every tree, every beast, it's our blood. My family's hunted here forever. This dagger's their legacy." Rin nodded, feeling the weight of her words. "On Earth, I wanted to explore the stars. Find answers to big questions. Crashing here wasn't the plan." LRA's eyes met his, curious. "What answers? Why we're here?" Rin said. "What's out there? Maybe it's not so different from protecting your forest." She leaned back, her face softening. "Maybe." The fire's warmth drew them closer. LRA shivered, and Rin noticed. He offered his torn jacket. "Here. It's not much." She took it, their fingers brushing. The touch lingered, a warmth spreading through them. LRA draped the jacket over her shoulders, her golden eyes locked on his. The world shrank to just them, the fire's crackle a soft heartbeat. "You're not what I thought," LRA said, her voice low. Rin's throat tightened. "Neither are you." They leaned closer, shoulders touching. LRA's breath was warm, her blue skin glowing in the firelight. Slowly, she tilted her head, and their lips brushed. A soft, tender moment, their heartbeats merging like stars in the dark. It was brief, but left them breathless. LRA pulled back, her eyes wide. "We need rest," she said, her voice unsteady. Rin nodded, his chest tight. "Yeah." They lay down by the fire, close enough to share warmth. LRA's head rested on his shoulder, her breath steadying. Rin's arm draped over her, their bodies fitting together like pieces of a puzzle. The forest's dangers loomed, but for now, they were safe. The next day, they pushed harder, the forest growing denser. Rin's legs burned, but he kept pace, driven by the thought of the ship. LRA led them through tangled vines and over rocky hills, her instincts sharp. By late afternoon, they crested a ridge, and Rin's heart leaped. There, he said, pointing. Below, his ship lay half buried in the earth, its hull torn open. Smoke curled from its engines, and wild hunters patrolled the crash site, their campfires glowing. At least a dozen figures moved, their bone armor glinting, weapons ready. Rin's stomach sank. They've taken it. LRA crouched beside him, her eyes narrowing. Too many to fight. Rin scanned the ship, his mind racing. There's a secondary hatch on the underside. Less guarded. If we wait for dark, we can sneak in. LRA nodded, her hand brushing his arm. Good plan. They hid in a cluster of trees, watching the hunters. The beacon was close, but the guard were a problem. Rin's pulse raced. Could they slip past? Was the ship's system even working? He glanced at LRA, her face set with determination. Their bond had grown, but the real test was coming. We'll do this together, Rin said, his voice firm. LRA met his gaze, her eyes steady. Together. As night fell, they prepared to move, the forest's shadows their only ally. Questions hung heavy. How would they outsmart the hunters? Could the beacon save them? For now, they had each other, and that was enough. Night cloaked the alien forest, the twin moons casting faint light through the canopy. Rin and LRA crouched in a cluster of trees, eyes fixed on the crashed ship below. Its torn hull glinted in the dark, surrounded by wild hunters' campfires. At least a dozen of the skull-masked outcasts patrolled, their bone and metal armor clanking, weapons gleaming. Rin's heart pounded. The ship's beacon was their only hope, but the hunters stood in the way. We can't get through, LRA whispered, her blue skin blending with the shadows. Her sacred dagger was ready, her golden eyes sharp. Too many. Rin nodded, his stolen spear heavy in his hands. His tattered uniform clung to his bruised body, but his mind raced. The secondary hatch is our best shot, he said, but we need a distraction. LRA pointed to a rocky hill nearby. There's an old ruin up there. Clan legends say it's cursed, but it's close to the ship. We can hide, plan from there. Rin hesitated. Cursed? Old one's ruins, LRA said. No one goes near them. Hunters might avoid it too. It was risky, but they had no choice. Let's move, Rin said. They crept through the forest, staying low. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and alien blooms. Glowing fungi lit their path, their soft pulses like heartbeats. Rin's boots slipped on loose stones, but LRA's steady hand on his arm kept him upright. Her touch lingered, a quiet reassurance in the dark. The hill loomed ahead, its peak crowned by jagged stone structures, crumbling arches and pillars etched with strange symbols. The ruins felt alive, humming with a faint energy that prickled Rin's skin. They slipped through a broken wall, entering a vast chamber. Dust hung in the air, and faint blue light glowed from crystal panels embedded in the walls. Whoa, Rin breathed, his scientist's curiosity sparking. This is ancient. LRA's eyes darted around, wary. Stay sharp. Legends say the old ones left traps. Rin nodded, but his attention was on the panels. They pulsed softly, covered in glyphs that looked like circuits. He traced one with his finger, feeling a faint vibration. This isn't just stone, it's tech. LRA raised an eyebrow. You understand it? Maybe, Rin said, his mind racing. He'd studied alien artifacts back on Earth. These glyphs resembled energy matrices. Could be a power system. They moved deeper, finding a central platform with a console, a slab of black stone studded with crystal controls. Rin's pulse quickened. This is it. Something big. He pressed a crystal, and the console hummed, its surface lighting up with holographic patterns. Lines of energy flowed, forming a diagram, a shield-like barrier. Rin's eyes widened. It's an energy shield. If we can activate it, it could block the hunters. LRA leaned closer, her shoulder brushing his. You sure? Not yet, Rin said, studying the hologram. It's locked. Needs a sequence. He tapped more crystals, trial and error. The console beeped, and a low hum filled the chamber. The floor vibrated, and the wall panels glowed brighter. Rin grinned. I'm getting it. LRA's eyes softened, impressed. You're full of surprises. Their moment was shattered by a guttural shout. Intruders! A wild hunter stood at the chamber's entrance, his skull mask glinting, a scavenged energy rifle in hand. More hunters appeared behind him, blades drawn. Damn it, Rin muttered, grabbing his spear. LRA's dagger flashed. Run! They bolted deeper into the ruins, the hunters' boots pounding behind. The chamber split into a maze of tunnels, their walls pulsing with crystal light. Rin's lungs burned as he followed LRA, her instincts guiding them through twists and turns. A hunter's rifle blast scorched the wall beside Rin, the heat singeing his arm. Left! LRA shouted, pulling him into a side passage. They ducked behind a fallen pillar, catching their breath. The hunter's shouts echoed, closing in. Rin's mind raced. The ruin's energy was active. Maybe he could use it. He spotted a crystal panel nearby, its glyphs glowing. Cover me, he said, crawling to the panel. LRA nodded, her dagger ready. Hurry. Rin pressed the glyphs, mimicking the console's sequence. The panel sparked, and a low hum grew. A faint energy field flickered across the tunnel's entrance, shimmering like a heat wave. It wasn't a full shield, but it might slow the hunters. Nice, LRA said, her voice tight. But they're coming. 3 hunters charged, their blades slashing. The energy field sparked as they hit it, slowing them. LRA lunged, her dagger slicing one's arm. Rin swung his spear, knocking another back. The third fired his rifle, the blast grazing LRA's leg. She grunted, stumbling. LRA. Rin tackled the hunter, driving his spear into its side. The creature fell, and Rin helped LRA up, her face pale but fierce. I'm fine, she said, limping. Keep moving. They ran, the energy field collapsing behind them. The tunnels narrowed, forcing them to squeeze through gaps. Rin's shoulder scraped stone, but he pushed on. LRA's breath was ragged, her leg bleeding, but she didn't slow. The tunnel opened into a small chamber with a collapsed ceiling, moonlight streaming through. Vines hung from above, offering a way out. Up there, Rin said, pointing. Ra nodded, grabbing a vina. She climbed, wincing with each move. Rin followed, his arms burning. A hunter's shout echoed below. They'd reached the chamber. Rin's heart pounded. They had seconds. LRA pulled herself onto the hill's surface, then reached for Rin. Their hands clasped, and she hauled them up, their bodies pressed close for a moment. Got you, she said, her voice soft. Rin managed to smile. Thanks. They scrambled into the forest, the ruins' glow fading behind. The hunters' roars grew distant, but Rin knew they'd keep searching. He and LRA hid in a thicket, catching their breath. Her leg was bloody, but she waved off his concern. We're alive, she said. That's enough. Rin shook his head, amazed. You're tougher than steel. She smirked, but her eyes were warm. And you're not just a brain. That shield thing, impressive. Rin's chest swelled. If I can crack the full sequence, we could use it against the hunters. LRA's hand brushed his, a quiet spark. Then we go back. But not tonight. They sat close, the forest hum surrounding them. Rin's mind buzzed with the ruins tech. Could he activate the shield? Could they escape the hunter's pursuit? LRA's presence grounded him, her strength a lifeline. Their bond had deepened in the ruins, but the fight was far from over. For now, they rested, hidden in the dark. The ship was close, but so were the hunters. Rin tightened his grip on his spear, resolve burning. He was no warrior, but he was learning fast. The old one's tech was his key, and he'd unlock it, or die trying. Dawn broke over the alien forest, the twin suns casting long shadows across the hill where Rin and LRA hid. The ancient ruins loomed above, their jagged stones glowing faintly with Old One's energy. Below, Rin's crashed ship sat, guarded by wild hunters. Their campfires smoked, and their skull-masked figures patrolled, wielding scavenged tech, Ren's tech. His blood boiled. Those outcasts had raided his ship, armed themselves, and terrorized the Shadow Tree clan. Today, that ended. Ren gripped his spear, his bruised body tense but ready. Beside him, LR8 crouched, her blue skin streaked with dirt, her sacred dagger gleaming. Her golden eyes met his, fierce and steady. "You sure about this?" she asked. "The ruined shield is our shot," Ren said. "If I activate it, we can clear the hunters and reach the ship's beacon." LRA nodded, her hand brushing his. Together, the touch sparked warmth in Ren's chest, but he focused. They'd fought, bled, and bonded through this jungle. Now it was time to win. He wasn't the weak offworlder the clan had mocked. He was a scientist, a survivor, and he'd prove it. They crept toward the ruins, dodging hunter patrols. The forest was quiet, the air thick with tension. Glowing fungi lit their path, their pulses like warnings. Ren's heart pounded as they slipped through a broken arch, entering the ruins' main chamber. Crystal panels pulsed on the walls, and the central console, a black stone slab with crystal controls, hummed faintly. Ren knelt by the console, his fingers tracing the glyphs he'd studied last time. "This is it," he said. "The energy shield." LRA stood guard, dagger ready. "Hurry. Hunters won't stay blind forever." Ren pressed a crystal, and the console lit up, holographic patterns swirling. He recalled the sequence, his scientist's mind piecing it together. A low hum grew, and the chamber vibrated. "Almost there," he muttered, tapping another crystal. The hum became a roar. The wall panels blazed, and a shimmering energy field flickered to life, encircling the chamber. Ren grinned. "Got it." LRA's eyes widened. "That's incredible." Their victory was cut short by a guttural shout. "Intruders!" A wild hunter burst in, rifle raised. More followed, their bone armor clanking, eyes burning behind skull masks. Ren's stomach dropped. They'd been spotted. "Hold them!" Run shouted, diving back to the console. LRA moved like lightning, her dagger slashing a hunter's arm. The energy shield sparked as another charged, slowing him. Ren worked frantically, locking the shield sequence. A blast from a hunter's rifle grazed his shoulder, searing pain shooting through him. He gritted his teeth, pressing the final crystal. The shield surged, a glowing dome erupting outward. It slammed into the hunters, hurling them back. They screamed, their weapons sparking uselessly against the barrier. The chamber shook, dust raining from the ceiling. LRA grabbed Ren's arm. "You did it." "Not done yet," Ren said, wincing. The ship. They ran, the shield pulsing behind them. The hunters regrouped outside, their shouts furious. Ren and LRA sprinted down the hill, dodging rifle blasts. The ship loomed ahead, its secondary hatch unguarded in the chaos. Ren pried it open, and they slipped inside, sealing it shut. The ship's interior was a wreck. Wires sparked, panels were smashed. Ren's heart sank, but he pushed forward to the control room. The communication system, a beacon, was intact barely. He tore open a panel, hands shaking as he rewired circuits. LRA stood watch, her dagger glinting. "Hunters are closing in," she said, voice tense. "How long?" "Minutes," Ren said, sweat dripping. His fingers flew, splicing wires, rerouting power. Memories of the clan's scorn, mud thrown, insults shouted, fueled him. They'd called him weak. They'd see the truth now. A loud bang shook the hatch. Hunters were trying to break in. LRA braced herself. "Run now." The beacon hummed, its screen flickering to life. Ren punched in a distress signal, his voice steady. "This is Ren Carter, requesting immediate rescue. Coordinates attached. Hostile forces engaged." He hit send, and the beacon pulsed, transmitting. Relief flooded him, but it was short-lived. The hatch groaned, metal bending. LRA's eyes met his, urgent. "We need to hold them off." Ren grabbed a broken pipe, standing beside her. Together, the hatch burst open, and hunters poured in, roaring. LRA's dagger flashed, cutting one down. Ren swung his pipe, cracking a skull mask. The shield's hum grew louder outside, and Rin realized it was still active, blocking more hunters from approaching. His plan was working, but the hunters inside were relentless. One grabbed LRA, pinning her arm. Rin tackled him, taking a fist to the jaw. Pain exploded, but he fought back, driving the pipe into the hunter's chest. LRA broke free, her dagger finishing the job. They stood, panting, surrounded by fallen hunters. The shield's glow lit the ship, a beacon of hope. But the real test was coming. Outside, shouts echoed, not just hunters but Shadow Tree warriors. The clan had arrived, drawn by the chaos. Rin and LRA climbed onto the ship's hull, the shield's light bathing them. Below, the clan gathered, their blue faces stunned. The clan leader stood at the front, his tattooed arms crossed, eyes wide. The wild hunters, trapped outside the shield, roared in fury. Their leader, a massive figure with a spiked mask, stepped forward, brandishing Ren's stolen tech. "You think this saves you?" he bellowed. "We own this land." Ren's blood boiled. He climbed higher, standing tall. "You stole my tech," he shouted, voice carrying. "You're nothing without it. I built this shield. I sent the signal. You're done." The clan murmured, shocked. The hunters charged the shield, but it held, sparking violently. Their stolen rifles overheated, exploding in their hands. The leader screamed as his weapon backfired, flames engulfing his armor. He collapsed, his mask shattered, revealing a scarred, humiliated face. The clan roared, not in scorn but awe. Warriors raised their spears, chanting Ren's name. The leader stepped forward, his voice heavy. "We misjudged you, offworlder. You saved us." Ren stood beside LRA, his chest heaving. Mud-stained, beaten, he'd been their joke. Now, he was their savior. The contrast was stark. Yesterday, they'd thrown rocks. Today they bowed. The wild hunters, once feared, were broken, their stolen power exposed as fraud. Ren's signal had gone out, and his people would come. He'd turn the tables, and it felt like fire in his veins. LRA's hand found his, her grip tight. "You're a hero," she whispered, her golden eyes shining. Ren squeezed her hand, his voice low. "We're heroes." The shield pulsed, a monument to his triumph. The clan's chants grew louder, echoing through the forest. But questions lingered. Would the signal bring rescue? How would the clan honor him now? Ren didn't know, but he'd faced their scorn and won. The wild hunters were crushed, their legacy ash. Run, the weak offworlder, stood tall, giant awakened. The twin suns rose over the Shadow Tree village, bathing the rebuilt square in golden light. The air was clean, free of smoke and blood. Rin stood atop a wooden platform, his tattered uniform replaced by a clan-made tunic, its blue fabric matching LRA's skin. His bruises had faded, but the memory of mud and insults lingered. Yesterday, he'd been their prisoner, mocked as a weak offworlder. Today, the clan gathered below, their golden eyes filled with awe, not scorn. LRA stood beside him, her sacred dagger at her hip, her face proud but soft. Her hand brushed his, a quiet spark in the morning light. Ren's chest tightened. They'd fought, bled, and triumphed together, against wild hunters, against doubt. Now, they faced the clan as equals. The clan leader climbed the platform, his tattooed arms bare, his spear lowered. The crowd hushed, their blue faces solemn. "Ren Carter," he began, his voice booming, "we wronged you. We saw weakness, not strength. You saved us, our homes, our lives. We were blind." Ren's throat tightened. He remembered their laughter, the rocks thrown, the sacrifice decree. Now the leader knelt, head bowed. "Forgive us," he said. "You are one of us." The clan erupted, chanting Ren's name. Warriors raised spears, women clapped, children cheered. Ren stood tall, the weight of their respect sinking in. He wasn't just a scientist or an outcast. He was a hero. "I forgive you," Ren said, his voice steady. "But this wasn't just me. LRA fought beside me. She's your true strength." LRA's eyes widened, a flush coloring her blue cheeks. The clan roared louder, chanting her name too. She leaned closer, whispering, "You didn't have to do that." Payne smiled. "Yeah, I did." The leader rose, clasping Ren's shoulder. "The wild hunters are gone, their lies exposed. Your shield and signal changed everything. What do you ask of us?" Ren glanced at the sky, where his distress signal had gone. Would Earth answer? He didn't know, but this planet felt like home now. "Just peace," he said, "and a chance to learn your ways." The crowd cheered, their voices a wave of unity. The leader nodded, stepping back. "It is yours." As the clan dispersed, preparing a feast, Ren and LRA slipped away to a quiet corner of the village. A massive tree loomed, its copper bark glowing under the suns. They sat beneath it, the forest's hum a soft backdrop. LRA's shoulder pressed against his, her warmth grounding him. "You could have died," she said, her voice low. "Why risk it all?" Ren met her golden eyes. "For a chance to prove I'm more than they thought." "For you." LRA's breath caught, her hand finding his. "You're more than I thought, too." They leaned closer, the world fading. Their lips brushed, a tender promise, and they embraced, the darkness of the tree's shadow shielding their secrets. The moment was soft but electric, their bond sealed in silence. Ren's heart raced, but it wasn't fear, it was hope. They pulled apart, hands still clasped. "Your signal," LRA said. "If your people come, will you leave?" Ren paused, the question heavy. Earth was his past, cities, stars, endless questions. But here, with LRA, he'd found answers. The clan's respect, her strength, this wild planet. It was enough. "I'm staying," he said. "With you if you'll have me." LRA's smile was brighter than the sun's. "I will." They stood, hand in hand, facing the village. The feast began, drums echoing, laughter rising. Children danced, warriors shared stories, and the leader raised a cup to Run and LRA. The clan's prejudice was gone, replaced by unity. Ren's journey, from tied-up outcast to celebrated savior, was complete. The contrast was stark. Days ago, they'd thrown mud, called him weak. Now, they carved his name on a stone monument beside LRA's, a testament to their victory. The wild hunters, once feared, were a broken memory, their stolen tech exposed as fraud. Run, the weak offworlder, was a legend, his human spirit a fire that burned through doubt. Questions lingered. Would Earth's ships arrive? What future awaited Run and LRA? For now, they stood together, the forest alive around them. The clan's chants faded into the night, but their respect echoed in Ren's heart. He'd awakened the giant within, and this world would never forget.